Hi, we're the Board Game Knights. I'm Sam Gillespie.
I'm Kristof, and following on from last week's introduction to Eurogames, today we're going to be looking at American-style board games.
American-style games, often affectionately dubbed Ameritrash games, often feature very simple mechanics and very strong themes. These games were developed by companies such as Parker Brothers in the early part of the 20th century, and they made games like Monopoly, which is very simple, has a very simple theme, and anyone can play it. These games often focus on player interaction, having aggressive combat, has a bit of luck involved, and often a bit of roleplay to help spice things up a bit. They often feature player elimination rather than hidden scoring, meaning that all your actions have just that little bit more risk associated with them. Eurogames often focus on making an interesting mechanic and then throw a theme on for a bit more flavour, whereas American-style games start with that theme and then build the mechanics around that, making things fundamentally more interesting. Now, what's really fascinating is that with this increasingly interconnected world we live in, many American-style game designers have tried to steal mechanics from Eurogames, meaning that there's a lot more of this grey area, and it becomes harder and harder to classify games as either American-style or Euro-style.
A great example of this is Twilight Imperium 3rd Edition. I say 3rd Edition because this edition introduced strategy cards, which other players can also use. This is a very Euro-influenced mechanic. The next game we have is King of Tokyo. King of Tokyo is just a bunch of silliness. Everyone's running around as monsters trying to destroy Tokyo and be the biggest monster around. The next game, Cutthroat Caverns, is a group dungeon crawler where you're trying to work together to defeat monsters but also trying to kill each other. The next game is Zombies, where you're all trying to escape a zombie horde. No surprise there. The next one is Betrayal at the House on the Hill. There's another cooperative game where halfway through the game, one of you will become the betrayer and try to beat everyone else. The last game is the Red Dragon Inn. It's basically a fantasy game where a bunch of fantasy characters come together and have fun at an inn for a night.
So Eurogames and American-style games feature two ends of the spectrum, and we find that the best games lie somewhere between the middle, combining elements of both.
Indeed. This wraps up our overview of American-style games. Enjoy the rest of your board game breakfast.